Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, the Pokemon Company is one of the year's top licensees, joining the ranks of such mega corporations as Skynet and Wayland-Yutani. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, and then on Thursday, we're talking about how Nintendo takes remakes and tees them up for sequels. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. Speaking of Wayland-Yutani,
Yeah.
how are we feeling about this
Romulus.
Alien Romulus movie?
Yeah, I mean, I never saw Covenant. Did you see Alien Covenant?
I did see Alien Covenant.
Okay.
I didn't like it,
Right.
but yeah, I didn't really like it at all. In
Right.
fact, I don't think there was anything I liked about it.
And
Actually, there was one scene that I thought was pretty cool. It was with like a newly hatched alien, but otherwise, I thought it was pretty bad.
Okay, and like I say, I haven't seen it. The last new Alien movie I saw was Prometheus, which I have complicated feelings about. Like, I think there are some interesting things in there, but I think it largely doesn't work.
Yeah.
I love Alien as a premise.
Yeah, I love it as an idea.
Yeah, and there are two movies I absolutely love.
It's the Jurassic Park problem.
It
Mine
kind of
plus one.
plus one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. Of course, I'm referring to Resurrection and Alien vs. Predator. AVP, the first one, I maintain knows what it is and is like a stupid, fun, good time.
You know, I don't think we've talked about this at all, but I feel I feel the same way about that first one.
Yeah.
Just like I feel the same way about the Paul W.S. Anderson like Resident Evil movies, or at least the first one.
The first one works.
Yeah.
And is like fun and like an engaging piece of cinema. Absolutely.
This new Alien movie though,
Yeah,
Romulus,
yes.
I accidentally watched a Red Band trailer for it.
Was it too scary?
It was. I didn't realize it was a Red Band trailer until I was like, wait a second. There's a lot of like blood in this.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're going big on face huggers, which truly some of the most terrifying.
Really scary stuff.
So I'm like, I want to see it, but with my hands covering my eyes.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go together.
That'd be fun. We should see it in IMAX. Just really traumatize ourselves.
We'll see it in 40X where there are
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
little cables they shoot down your throat.
I mean, that would actually 40X would be. I've only seen one movie in 40X.
What did you see in 40X?
It was Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. And saw it like I didn't realize what I was getting because I'd never seen a 40X movie. So I was like, I don't know what this means.
Right.
A 40X movie, if you're not. If you go to a 40X theater, they're like seats that it's almost like a theme park ride. Like the seats like move, and they blow air on you and like splash water. But in Rogue Nation, anytime like Tom Cruise was being punched or was doing punching,
it would punch
it would
you in the back.
It would like jab you a little bit in the back. And I feel like that sort of like jab motion would be like, oh, it's like a face hugger trying to like break through the seat.
Oh,
the back of the seat.
Yeah, I mean that's scary. I saw a lot of like footage of people. And first of all, I think this is probably an annoying thing that you have to put up with when you go to 40X screenings of stuff. Is that people are going to be filming their experience. The last time I went to Disneyland, I was on that Cars ride, and 3 of the 5 people that I was in that car with were filming the ride experience. What are you doing with that video? But I assume that is something that you'll have to see if you go to a 40X movie. Is me like building my way back out of the hole I dug myself into. So I saw a lot of videos of Twisters in 40X.
Oh yeah,
which has got obviously a very windy, very like rainy.
Oh yeah, you were probably like being splashed with water.
Probably,
and if you're at Universal
struck by lightning,
at Universal Studios Hollywood. Probably the one in Orlando. I don't know. They love.
Who cares?
They love. Patrick coming in strong with theme park opinions at the top of this episode. They love to like splash water on you for everything. It's like,
everything.
the window shattered. in this Transformers ride, you're getting
Water.
splashed with water.
Right. There's a giant Maggie from The Simpsons sucking on a pacifier.
You're getting splashed with water.
Yeah.
It's not there are a lot of theme park experiences I enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't even mind water rides because I feel like I'm going on it with the intention of getting wet.
Yes.
But I really don't like the spray of water.
The spray
I don't care for it. I don't want it.
Is that the next Avatar movie or the one after that? There's also it could all be in my head, but I feel like the water that a theme park sprays you with as part of an attraction has a smell to it. And I'm always...
A clean smell?
No. It's not a clean smell. If it were a clean smell, I guess that would bother me too, because then I'm like, are you spraying me with bleach? They might be bleaching me.
Well, how do you feel about you walk into a water ride?
Yeah.
And an indoor portion. So it's a Small World or Pirates of the Caribbean.
It smells like chlorine.
It has a very distinct smell to it.
I mean, I would rather that than it smell like the stagnant water,
like the Simpsons ride water,
Simpsons ride water, exactly. And I mean, also, I grew up on swim teams and going to pools and stuff, so that chlorine smell actually kind of comforting to me. I'm like, okay, I'm in a safe, fun place. So yeah, I think that is probably part of why I like going on Small World. To the extent that I do. I don't actually think I like it.
Oh, I like that ride.
Because you just get to be dark and quiet for a little while?
No, that and I
sing a little song.
I think the Christmas version is fun. I just think it's fun. I think it's nice.
If you would like to support something fun and nice, you can go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries that we are putting out. We are making our way through the second season of NCS Arcade.
Yeah, we just put out an episode about Mega Man, Dr. Wily's Revenge, and a little bonus game, Mega Man 5, both for the Game Boy.
And both available on Nintendo Switch Online.
That's right. So you should join at the 8-bit or 16-bit level, and you can get access to that.
And if you have thoughts or memories or questions about either of those games or Mega Man, the 8-bit Mega Man franchise or the Game Boy Mega Mans, whatever, email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we will incorporate those emails into a special feedback episode where we talk about your reactions to the game. And that is an episode that is available for free to anyone who follows us on Patreon at any level, including at the free level. So if you have questions and you are not currently supporting us on Patreon, that's cool. Submit them anyway, and we will put out an episode that you can listen to. And then, of course, if you are supporting us at the 4-bit level, you have access to NCS Detective Club. So check that out if you have not already. We also have a Discord. You should be in the Discord. People are talking about Nintendo there basically all the time. Email us, and I'll send you an invitation. And then I'm just speeding through this stuff now, but I don't have a lot to say about it,
Well, I mean, we talked a lot about theme park water.
Should we go back to that?
Save it for the next Patreon miniseries.
Yeah, great. Of course, my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle source book, issues 1 through 3, are available in comic book stores right now. Issue 4 comes out on September 4th. 4 on the 4th. That's pretty, right?
It's beautiful.
There's a nice synergy there.
4 turtles.
Yeah, sure. There's a 5th, and also there were 2 more after that. So there were 7 turtles. Plus, if we want to count Toka as well, I guess it's an 8th. So there's Slash. Maybe there are 9 turtles. I don't know. Anyway, check that out. I'm very proud of it. The collection will be coming out in January. And then I just wanted to shout out that I am on 2 podcasts that came out this week. That came out yesterday. So if you have not heard enough of me in your podcast feed, you can check out Video Games, a Comedy Show, where I was on with Jeremy and his wife to talk about Nintendo World Championships, NES Edition. And then I went on Survivor, Turning Back Time with Steven and Jared to talk about the season 13 premiere episode of Survivor. So you can check those out wherever you get podcasts.
We have a little bit of a debug. So last week, we were talking about Famicom Detective Club games, and we thought maybe we knew what the price scene of it was. We were trying to figure it out on the fly.
We knew that there were 2 of them, and that you could buy them separately, and it would cost this much. And if you bought them as a bundle, you saved a little bit of money. But we were kind of underselling it. right?
The amount that was saved, or what were we underselling?
We were underselling how much it costs total. Because each of the Girl Who Stands Behind in the Forgotten Air were $35 or $60 for the pair, which means that this new game, MEO the Smiling Man, coming out at $50 is cheaper than the pair of
that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. But more expensive than just buying one of them.
I also have a joke. We've been doing jokes at the top of the show.
We've been doing jokes.
And J Bear submitted one in the Discord that I wanted to share. What's Mario's favorite island?
Like what? Oahu?
That's exactly, yeah.
Oh, is that it?
It's a Oahu.
Like actually Oahu. Got it. The Hawaiian island.
Yes, that's right.
That's a pretty good island, Mario.
It's a pretty good island. It's a pretty good joke.
And Wahoo, isn't Wahoo the name of the island in Sunshine?
I don't think Wahoo's the name of the island in Sunshine. Could it be the island in Wii Sports Resort?
Maybe that makes more sense because it's is it Delfino Island in Sunshine?
Okay.
And not just Delfino
Plaza. It is. Woohoo Island.
Woohoo Island
is a large tropical tourist-filled island from various games of the Mii franchise, notably Wii Sports Resort.
It does sound like that's probably ripping off Oahu, right?
Yeah.
All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. First, thank you, J Bear. That is keep the jokes coming.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm into it. Mark, let's talk about what we've been playing this week.
So I've been playing a little bit more of Nintendo World Championships NES Edition.
Same.
I am finding that there are some games I'm enjoying more than others.
Yes.
Like you get deeper into the challenges of like Balloon Fight, and I just don't care. Like I just don't feel any desire to master them.
That's how I feel about the later challenges in Excite Bike too, where I'm just like,
yeah,
like because they're all like there are no moments in those games, right? There's only just like a harder version of the moment that you experienced earlier.
Yeah.
And that makes them like categorically different from like Kid Icarus or Super Mario Brothers 2 or whatever. So yeah, I feel very much the same way.
It makes me wish that the games that I like, because there's a lot of NES games that I don't really like that much, because I'm not that into arcade style challenges. It's just not something that I've ever really cared about. And so a lot of those like early NES like black box games, like there's a lot of the NES library that I think is very easy to just leave, like you don't really have to worry about that much.
Right.
It does make me wish that Nintendo sometimes would do this for the Super Nintendo, or have it, because those experiences are so much meatier that I feel like it could be fun to explore that. The games in NES or in the Nintendo World Championships like NES Edition that I do have affinity for, like those, I enjoy doing these challenges.
Right.
But that's maybe half of them.
Yeah, it's maybe half of them, and I also like, I don't know about you, but anytime because I'll like hop in and play like the survival mode, and like every week in fact I have to check on how I did in the world. What is it? Was just like the tournament? What's it called?
I can't remember what it's called.
Whatever it's called.
But where you submit, there's like 5 challenges of varying difficulty, and you can submit your best time for each one.
Right, and it rates you against other people who were born your year. And so whenever like the get the morph ball as fast as you can, I don't like that. I mean, it's not fun for me to like try and shave 100th of a second off of like the jump, like for whatever reason, like that level of like hyper specificity within a 2.5 second challenge, I'm just like totally disinterested by.
Yeah, there's definitely, for me, it's like, oh, if I can get A++ as the grade, then I'm happy with that. Because I do like some of the longer challenges I think are more fun, because like even the, what do they call it, the Metroid one where it's like up, and it just asks you to do a platforming challenge where you're climbing vertically, going from one door to the next.
I like that one.
And I like that one too, because like defeating Kraid, that was another Metroid one that I did, where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, like there's enough here that I can improve my time.
Right.
Where, oh yeah, like maybe if I don't wait for that enemy to go back and forth and I just jump immediately,
Right.
like I can shave off a little bit of time versus an example like, getting the morph ball where it's like for me personally, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I've gotten as good at this as I want to get.
Exactly. Yeah. Where I'm sure there's like, I could be pushing the jump button for slightly less time, maybe. But like, this is sort of where it gets to the like, I'm 41 years old and my reaction times are not getting any better. Right. So like, this is as good at this as I'm going to be.
I've also I have not been playing it with my NES controllers because I have them put away.
Yeah.
And
you got to charge them by putting them on the Switch.
And but I do think that's the better way to do it.
Yeah.
In handheld mode, sometimes, and again, this is probably like my old brittle fingers, but I find it more difficult with all the extra buttons than just kind of if I was holding an NES.
Also feel like there's the problem with like the D-pad, or if you're using the thumbstick with like like false up inputs, because I'll find that especially in like Donkey Kong, if I'm moving around left and right and if it thinks I accidentally pushed up, it'll like stop Mario dead in his tracks, which is no good.
Yeah, can't stress this enough. Not my fault, game's fault.
Not my fault, game's fault. That's right. There was something so yes, we've both been playing this game. You have anything else to add about Nintendo World Championships before we move on to the next thing? We obviously have both been playing Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge, and I wanted to just like tag this onto the same conversation about controllers, because I was originally started playing these games using the NES controllers, because like, it's basically the same as a Game Boy, right? And when you play an NES game with an NES controller, using when you're using the Nintendo Switch Online app for it, using the like R and L buttons function as the capture button and the home screen, right? If you press them separately, which is really useful for like navigating your way like out of those menus and like having a full featured controller in your hand with the NES controller. It doesn't work that way with the Game Boy.
Oh.
They just function as L and R buttons. So I couldn't even get them to do rewind because it wants L2 and R2.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too. That like they had built in, they're like, oh, people playing with the NES controllers are going to need some extra consideration in the NES Nintendo Switch Online app, but they did not think to use those same set of considerations for those controllers for the Game Boy.
So what do you do?
Use a different controller.
Oh, okay.
Like, and it's kind of just like, I did it for just like a little bit and was like, well, I mean, first of all, Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge is a punishing game. We talk about it. And we talk about how fun it is in the episode that just came out over the weekend, but only if you can rewind time and use save states and stuff. So yeah, I mean, like I played through one level and then was like, forget this. I need to just like use the Pro Controller.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. That's interesting.
But I don't know that we really have anything else to add about those two games because we talked about it for an hour and a half over the weekend. Mark, one other thing I did just want to add. I know that I mentioned playing Vampire Survivor 4-player with my buddies over my little vacation weekend a couple weeks ago. But there are two other games that we played with all four of us, and just wanted to express the joy of the chaos of four people playing these games. Number one, Snipper Clips.
Mm-hmm.
Snipper Clips, the wonderful game where you are like little paper shapes that do some sexual cutting on each other and solve puzzles. And it's only sexual because like they seem to really enjoy it. They grin and they kind of laugh. But was super fun to like tackle the cut it out together challenges that are part of like the DLC with four people. Like things get really complicated and really chaotic. And where you're like, we're never going to figure this out. And then you figure it out. So loved that. And then all of the Picross S games have multiplayer components if you want, where it's just 2, 3, or 4 people in the puzzle working on it together at the same time. And your cursor, like when it's on the map, blocks the path of somebody else if they want to like, if they're like counting their way through the row and your cursor gets in the way, it messes up what they're doing. So Andrew and I are both like big Picross guys. We play it a lot. And when it was just me and Andrew working together, it was magic, right? We were like doing stuff. He'd be working on one corner, I'd be working on the other. But our other friend Ethan, who's got a very like analytical mind, likes games, likes systems, was like, this is cool, explain it to me, and like, wait, how are you guys doing like this strategy here? And so like we taught him everything, and then he jumped in, and so there's three of us in there, and the chaos of having someone who is like confident in their ability to like play a strategy puzzle style game but not actually have a lot of experience with Picross was awesome, because it meant that Ethan kept messing up the puzzle while Andrew and I were trying to like put it back together. We would almost always get to a point where we're like, this one's broken. We have to start it all over. It was like surprisingly fun, even though it was like super frustrating.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that those Picross games had multiplayer.
They have multiplayer, yeah. So you don't just have to like hang out with your partner while they do it. They can actually
that's fun.
Have a controller in their hand and participate. All right, Mark, let's get out of what we've been playing this week and into the new releases. Never how I've teed up that segment before.
No, I thought it worked great.
Okay, great.
On Thursday, August 1st, Star Wars Bounty Hunter is released. This is the Jango Fett game that was released like around the time of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, sure.
So like 2002-ish. That is, like many of these Star Wars games from that era, supposed to be pretty good, but I've never played it before.
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing that kind of thing, that like, oh yeah, this game from that era was pretty good, especially for Star Wars games. I have yet to see that like borne out, and maybe it's just because I wasn't playing them at the time,
which
I've got no nostalgia for it.
It is kind of crazy to me that I didn't play any of these, because I've always loved Star Wars. I had a Nintendo GameCube, and all these games were coming out on the GameCube.
Sure.
But yeah, I never picked any of these up.
Yeah, but this was also during the prequel era, right? Where like you loved Star Wars, but you were also, right? I mean, like,
no, I was all in during I was all in during like, okay. What, like, could I objectively understand that the movies were not that great? Yeah, but I was still on the train of like, but like parts of it were really cool.
Sure. Okay. All right, I get that. I get that.
So like, so I was still like, for each of the Star Wars, and I was, like, oh, they're each getting better. Each one's better than the last.
Right. Not true.
Definitely not true. So yeah, I definitely was all in, but I also like didn't have as a kid, I didn't have any money to buy these games.
Yeah, that's fair. And then I just wanted to point out, there's a game on here called Bare Butt Boxing. I don't know. It's just a game coming out called Bare Butt Boxing.
So that's also on Thursday. And then on Friday, World of Goo 2.
Yeah. Did you ever play the original World of Goo?
This was a WiiWare title.
Yes. Like we talked about last week, right?
Did we? Yes.
Oh, no, we talked about it in the Patreon episode, because we were talking about Mega Man 9.
Okay, I remembered us talking about it.
Right.
That all makes sense. So anyways, yeah, it was the first one was one of the early WiiWare titles, which was on the Wii, you could download these small like indie games, basically, for all intents and purposes. And I think I owned this one on the Wii, and I think I played it a little bit, but I don't think I ever like beat it.
Yeah, and it's it's
or
like
the first World of Goo.
It's like a physics-based puzzle game where you are like,
you're like manipulating these like pieces of goo to build. Like I remember, it's like, oh, you have to like build a bridge to get them from one side to another,
right? And
they kind of like snap in place, and I think you only have like a limited number. But it's like physics-based puzzler, basically.
Yeah. Are the goos with their little eyes? First of all, are they part of Gooigi? First of all, that
I don't think so.
You think they're separate from?
I think they're separate from Gooigi.
I would believe more that the goo from World of Goo tastes like coffee than I believe Gooigi tastes like coffee, though.
Yeah, I know. I would believe that too.
And then are they related to Puyo in some way? Because Puyo also sort of snap together when they're close. They've got eyes. They're mostly gooey.
Maybe cousins.
Okay.
Okay, so Gooigi, I agree with you. I would not expect to taste like coffee, but canonically does.
There's no arguing.
Yeah, Goo from World of Goo. I don't think we know what they taste like.
Yeah.
But Puyo, I imagine tastes like gummy bears.
I also imagine that Puyo tastes like gummy bears. So maybe the world of goo are like black licorice.
Yeah, yes. I think that makes the most sense, but they could be a Gooigi and they're like, I don't know, they're cinnamon or something.
Yeah, that's a great point. They also sort of behave like oil, right? That they're like a little
Oh,
sloshy.
you're right.
So
they are
maybe
like
they're
that.
like a real petrochemical.
Yeah.
Like you don't really want to taste them at all.
But there's also a big sale on the eShop going on right now, the Play Together sale.
Yeah.
With a lot of different titles.
Including first-party titles.
Yeah.
So like ARMS is on sale, Big Brain Academy, Clubhouse Games, 51 Worldwide Classics.
Disney Illusion Island is on sale for $28, and that just had a free update that came out not that long ago.
That's right. A free update I keep saying I'm going to go back to, but I probably won't.
For me personally, one of the things that caught my eye is We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie is $7.49 right now, down from $30. I haven't played this game, and I really liked when the Katamari Damacy remake came out, like, I don't know, in 2018, 2019 or something.
Right.
So I want to pick this one up.
And you know, like WarioWare Get It Together is $35, down from $50. Like that's pretty good. If you haven't picked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, it's $20.77. That's for the whole bundle with the Shattered Dimension DLC.
Nintendo Switch Sports, $28. And Snipper Clips, like you were talking about.
There we go.
You can get the bundle for like $21.
Which is pretty good. Or the DLC is also down to $7, down from 10. So that's pretty good. Also, I said the name of the Shredder's Revenge DLC wrong. It's called Dimension Shell Shock. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on here worth checking out for sure. These Mario Golf, Tennis, and Strikers are all on sale for like 30% off. And the only one of these that I bought as they were coming out was Aces. So might be a good time to pick up some of these that we missed.
I Ace is the only one I bought as well.
So anyway, something to consider. All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, the Olympics are happening. So we are going to be taking CNN's How Well Do You Know Summer Olympics History quiz.
Excellent.
I'm prepared to administer this quiz.
Okay, great.
Okay. Question number 1 of 10. In which year did women first compete in the modern Olympics? 1900, 1924, 1932, or 1948? Feels like it's going to be frustratingly late, right?
I was going to guess, yeah. So not 1900.
Right.
48 seems too late. I was going to guess 28. That was going to be my
24
guess.
Is
24.
24 is the option.
24 is going to be my guess.
Okay, let's go with 24. Incorrect. No, they first competed in 1900 Summer Olympics in Paris.
Okay.
Where they comprised about 2% of athletes. Okay, question number 2. What is the record for the men's 100-meter dash at the Olympics? Now, this is multiple choice, but you're going to hate these choices. 9.58 seconds, okay. 9.59 seconds, 9.63 seconds, or 9.69 seconds.
All right.
Do we want to just go with the fastest one here?
Yeah, which would be
9.58
Oh, yeah,
seconds.
Okay, sure. Great.
Incorrect. Usain Bolt completed the current Olympic record, 9.63 seconds. So the second highest one on this list. Still under 10 seconds. An insane thing. All right. Question number 3. What new events are included in 2024?
If one of these includes breakdancing, it's going to be breakdancing.
Yeah, so breakdancing and kayak cross.
Okay.
But the other options were foosball and horse racing, flag football and lacrosse, or squash and cricket. But we know it's breakdancing and kayak cross. Good for us. Number 4. What sports won't appear at the 2024 Summer Olympics? Skateboarding and handball, baseball and karate, 3-on-3 basketball and roller speed skating, sport climbing and surfing.
Pretty sure it's baseball and karate.
No baseball?
No baseball in the Olympics.
That's correct. Baseball and karate were both featured at the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, but won't be seen in Paris. Question number 5. How many national Olympic committees will compete in the 2024 Paris Olympics? So I guess it's like how many countries, basically?
Okay.
98, 176, 193, or 206. 206 is like the number of countries in the world, right?
I don't know.
I'm going to say 176.
Okay.
Incorrect. It's 206. Okay, question number 6. What's the longest distance the Olympic torch has traveled to the opening ceremony? 16,000 miles.
Okay.
40,500 miles, 85,000 miles, and 116,000 miles.
Let's go based on no information at all. 85,000 miles.
85,000 miles. Correct.
There we go.
Arrived in Beijing before it traveled through 21 countries across 5 continents. Question number 7. How old is Quincy Wilson, who could have become the youngest U.S. male track Olympian in history? 14, 15, 16, or 17?
I don't know. 15.
So
no, that's too young.
Youngest U.S. male track Olympian. So this is all very specific.
Yeah.
Male track.
Uh-huh.
That's it. Oh, U.S. I'm going to say 16.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, great. Question number 8. In the 2024 Paris Olympics, athletes from these 2 countries will be neutral rather than donning uniforms from or otherwise referencing their home countries. Which are they? North Korea and Russia?
No.
Afghanistan and Iran?
No.
Taiwan and Hong Kong?
No.
Russia and Belarus?
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to say that as well. Ding, ding, ding. Number 9. What is the motto for the Paris Olympics? Games wide open, come together for a shared future, light the fire within.
I don't know.
You want to go with come together?
Yeah.
Incorrect. It is opening up the Olympic and amateur athletes. I'm not sure that it tells me what the actual
but we know we got it wrong.
We know we got it wrong. Oh,
okay.
No, it's games wide open.
Oh,
okay.
They
do show a little check. I think that was the end of our 433 video. It was. Should we do the final question?
We should do the final question.
Okay, great. What year did the Olympics first achieve equality in the number of women and men competing?
Oh, it's this year. It's 2024.
Correct. An equal number of female and male athletes will compete at the 2024 Summer Olympics.
So how did we do?
Let's see. We got 6 out of 10 right.
Okay, so we know the Olympics better than Canada.
Yeah, I mean, we did pretty poorly on that Canada quiz, right?
I wouldn't say we did great on this one, but
60,
we did
though,
better.
That's like depending on the grading scale, that's a low passing, right?
but a pass nonetheless.
All right, Mark. We were accompanied today by the McAllister College Choir. Performing on Zoom, which always feels cowardly to me. You got to really get in an awkward auditorium and do 433, as far as I'm concerned. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
During its most recent financial results call with investors, Capcom fielded a question about why the upcoming Monster Hunter Wilds was not going to be released on Switch.
Yes, and here is the answer.
Yes, the answer put forth is, one concept we've incorporated into this title is aiming to portray the maximum of the world of Monster Hunter by utilizing the latest technology to its limit. To that end, the platforms capable of realizing that concept are currently the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Going forward, we'll provide more thorough details regarding these concepts and themes when we release information on the game. We hope you look forward to it.
First of all, love any statement from a video game rep that ends with "We hope you look forward to it." But what a like lot of words to say. We needed power, and the Switch was not did not have that power.
Also, they had so much success with this kind of like dual track for Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
with Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch and Monster Hunter Worlds on the PlayStation and Xbox, right?
And PC for sure.
Eventually,
I assume it also was on Xbox.
But so it makes sense that they would kind of like continue that, at least for now.
Sure, that we are now like ping-ponging back to the like high-powered one. What's interesting is like Worlds was a game that came out on like PlayStation 4, right? In the previous generation of Xbox. So like, you know, you would think that a Switch could reasonably sort of handle that version of the game, but who knows?
Yeah, that's true. Also, I see in the show notes that you actually did the research and it's Monster Hunter World.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Singular? Right. No, it's not your fault.
I took the cue from you when you said Worlds,
know, exactly.
And I was like, Mark maybe knows Monster Hunter better than I do.
No, I don't. Yeah, you know, it's kind of fun to speculate about what could this all change with the next Switch.
Right. Because the language that this dude uses is, to that end, the platforms capable of realizing that concept are currently the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S and PC. So currently could be doing a lot of heavy lifting there, right? Like the next Switch, which does not currently exist. And they also don't say it's not coming to a Nintendo platform. They're really just saying, here are the platforms that we know and can talk about right now that can do what we need the game to do.
But I do wonder what like the calculus is, because is it better? Are they better off having two tracks instead of releasing one game, right, on all of the different platforms? Will that sell as well as having, you know, like these two discrete experiences? I don't know. I wonder if like World singular had come to Nintendo Switch, if it would have added, you know, I'm not sure how much Monster Hunter Rise sold, but let's just say 10 million copies. Or did they get, you know, like 20 million out of World and they got 10 million out of Rise, and they're better off by keeping those two different things?
Yeah, I mean, Monster Hunter Rise, like, it had that moment of being like a Nintendo exclusive, right? And got like that sort of like bump in terms of PR from Nintendo. It was featured in Directs, the Sunbreak DLC was like featured at the beginning of a Nintendo Direct as like a big, you know, deal. That I would be maybe a little bit harder sell if it was not an exclusive. And then they put it out on other platforms.
Right.
So like it got a sort of second life in that way. Monster Hunter Rise, I'm seeing, has sold 14.1 million copies.
Wow.
So like that's a successful game. And if we go Monster Hunter World, I feel like World has sold way more than that. The thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 million.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I wonder if there is a reason for them to try to bring a single game to every platform, or if they can just make more money by having to be on two different pillars.
Yeah. Well, and like I think that the two pillars things works as long as they then eventually take the one that was exclusive to Nintendo and like put out a special edition version of it that's like a little bit shinier, a little bit faster on all platforms.
As revealed by a list of the top global licensors, the Pokemon Company brought in $10.8 billion in revenue in 2023.
That's US dollars.
So this is down $800 million from the previous year, but in 2022, there was like a new mainline entry in the series, plus Pokemon Legends Arceus. So that was a banner year for Pokemon compared to the quieter year that they had last year.
Yeah, and I saw some like comparisons online that people are being like, Nintendo at large made like about that much money in 2023, but that's from a year that included Zelda, a new Zelda game, a new Mario game, and Pikmin, which did fine. But just that, like, here's what it takes to compete with Pokemon that didn't even put out like a new mainline game during the year,
Right.
and so I will say, we don't totally understand what this list means or what these revenue amounts actually mean. Right?
Yeah. So it's the list comes from License Global.
Yeah.
And what they say is that they ask like people to self-report.
Okay.
And then they do their own kind of like confirmation. But
right. And is this just so like the question I'm asking here is like, would the sales of Pokemon games go towards like this total, because like they don't license the Pokemon property out for games, they make and publish those games.
Well, that's the thing though, do they? Because the Pokemon company, there's 3 companies that like make, there's like
creatures,
4, they're right, because there's
the hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I guess there's 3, right? Pokemon is Pokemon Company, Creatures Inc., and Nintendo,
right?
And then Game Freak fits in there
somehow, right?
And so, but the Pokemon Company is like responsible for brand management, production, publishing, marketing, licensing, which consists of the Pokemon franchise. I'm literally just reading from Wikipedia, which consists of video games, a trading card game, anime, television series, films, manga, home entertainment products, merchandise, blah 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 blah.
Right.
So because
but both publishing and licensing are listed under there. So like, do they publish the games or do they license the games to Nintendo? I guess would be the operative question, right?
Right. Also, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
It's Nintendo, Game Freak, and Creatures that hold the copyright for Pokemon, and the 3 of them created this joint company called the Pokemon Company.
Got it.
So there's like the Pokemon Company, and under that are those 3 entities.
Or those 3 entities are above it. Those 3 entities together created the Pokemon Company.
Yeah, I guess that's right. So
we don't know what this means.
Yeah, we don't know what this means, but just like for comparison, like, does it include games or not? I'm gonna guess, yeah, it does include the games.
Okay.
Because that, even if they're licensed to Nintendo,
right?
Nintendo's or the Pokemon Company's job is licensing, so maybe it would fall under
there. But their job is also publishing.
Right. Well, yes.
But publishing what? It doesn't say, right?
It doesn't say. Well, okay.
What's interesting is you also mentioned like the trading cards, right? As part of like their responsibilities. Does that mean that the trading, like sales of the trading cards, would not be part of this? Or do they license that as well?
So here's what I believe to be true.
Yeah.
I believe that different parts of it, so like Creatures, Nintendo, and Game Freak are all responsible for different parts of, like the Pokemon operation.
Right, managing the brand, right.
But then all like profits go through the Pokemon Company.
Okay.
But because like Nintendo is an owner of the Pokemon Company,
right,
they record that revenue as part of their earnings.
So is the Pokemon Company licensing their games to Nintendo, which makes a profit for the Pokemon Company, which then funnels up to Nintendo?
No, it probably is not that complicated.
It might be. This is just like, Warner Brothers like licensing DC, DC, like the old DC Universe content to HBO Max during a time when it owns all those entities.
It feels like
we're in over our heads.
We don't know exactly. Yeah. We don't know the answer to this. But here it is. Here is the Pokemon Company in comparison to some other companies.
Yeah.
The Walt Disney Company is number 1 with like $62 billion. Authentic Brands Group. Okay, this is where we get into the cold open joke.
Yes.
Where there is some real like mega corporation names on here where you're like, what does Authentic Brands Group do or mean? What does Meredith or WHP Global?
Yes, what is WHP Global?
Or Blue Star Alliance?
Blue Star Alliance feels like the most ominous one to me.
Yes. Do you want to know the brands in Blue Star Alliance?
Sure.
Hurley, Limited 2.
Oh, okay.
Justice, Brookstone.
Okay, so those are. It's weird to consider like a clothing brand as a licensor.
Well, okay, so WHP Global.
Yeah.
Brands include Toys R Us, Babies R Us, Express, Bonobos, Rag and Bone, G Star Raw. All of those are under like the WHP licensing brand. So
weird.
I feel like totally over my head because I don't understand the connection between retail,
right,
like and like how it's licensing.
Right. It's this may be you and I discovering in real time that we are just like totally defeated by our corporate overlords. But like Mattel is on this list. Mattel is like the number 9 on the list, and I wonder if that is because Barbie.
Oh yeah, maybe
that like the interest in the Barbie brand. I mean,
but then does like Warner? Does Warner Brother Discovery, which is on this list as number 4?
Yeah,
they also profit presumably from the Barbie movie, which they produced.
Right. Well, if there's Barbie movie licensed products that aren't just from the Barbie license, but like if they're selling a Ken doll that looks like Ryan Gosling, then yes.
And did Warner Brothers Discovery, does Barbie count towards their licensed products?
Right.
Even though they're licensing from another company.
See, I would think that the revenue from the Barbie movie would count as licensed monies for Mattel because they licensed that IP to Warner Brothers.
And for Warner Brothers, it might be like Batman or something.
Sure.
That they've licensed out to toy companies.
Right. Or like Harry Potter stuff, right?
Right.
Because although Warner Brothers Games put out Hogwarts, whatever it's called, Unleashed? Legacy.
Origins. It's one of those three.
It's one of those words.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those game title words. Yeah. So, but that's did you look up who Dot Dash Meredith is?
Oh, I did. They own like People magazine and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are the and it is crazy that the this is the list of the top 10, and like the Pokemon is very high with almost 11 billion, but Disney is $62 billion.
Yeah.
That's more than double the next highest Authentic Brands Group at 28 billion.
Do you want to know what the Authentic Brands Group is?
Yeah, I do.
They own more than 50 consumer brands.
Okay. All right. Good.
As well as the likeness and rights for celebrities including Muhammad Ali, Elvis Presley, and Marilyn Monroe.
Okay, so it's like it's people brands.
So it's people.
It's dead people brands.
It's dead people brands plus Aeropostale, Billabong, Eddie Bauer.
Okay.
Forever 21. Let's see. Quicksilver, Reebok, Sports Illustrated. They might not own all of these anymore. No, I think they do.
$28 billion in 2023.
Volcom is all.
What's Volcom?
It's a skateboarding brand.
Okay.
That's kind of. I think you're right. We're learning that we're defeated by our corporate overlords.
Right.
Like where
anything that feels like, because like that, and when you mentioned Hurley earlier, that these are like skate and surf brands that are part of these like mega corporations.
There's something really ominous about it being called Authentic Brands Group.
I know.
And it's like licensing celebrity likenesses.
Yeah, and like a skateboard brand as well, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something about them that like, oh yeah, we realize we're trading in authenticity. We just do it at $30 billion a year.
Mm-hmm. Davide Soliani, creative director of the Mario plus Rabbids games and mainstay of Ubisoft's creative executive team, has left the company. On Twitter, Soliani says that he is leaving the company to embark on a new adventure, and he adds he can't say more now, but it kind of implies that the next thing is possibly already lined up.
Yeah, an interesting sort of wrinkle here as Soliani became like a face of the Mario plus Rabbids series, and like brought Miyamoto out on stage for like E3 shows and stuff like that, and was just like a passionate sort of like advocate for the games in a very Nintendo kind of way. That like I don't know, can you name another like Ubisoft exec who like comes out and like stumps for their game? Like
Right.
no one, right? Um, yeah, the fact that he's no longer with the company is interesting.
Um, I wonder if it also just means that the Mario plus Rabbids series has run its course.
I would guess probably, right? The second one was a relative disappointment in terms of sales. Um, and we've talked about that before, that Nintendo like advised them to be like, just do one per generation. Like
Yeah.
don't bother putting out a second one. You can keep up the long tail of a game if you just make it the only thing out there. Um, and they didn't do that with Sparks of Hope. A game that I think you and I both were like interested in, but also knew that we were just never going to get to it.
Yeah, and I remember playing the demo and it just felt like more of the same.
Yeah, which was a game that we liked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really liked Kingdom Battle.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mario crossover games,
Yeah.
whether Mario and Sonic at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games.
Yep, the Paris Olympic Games have started. There are an equal number of male and female athletes competing. Where are Mario and Sonic? An equal number of Mario and Sonic athletes competing at the Olympics.
Yeah, and clearly no game coming this year for it.
Yep.
But it seems like possibly the series is just over in general. According to a producer on the series since its first installment in 2007, the 2020 entry, the Tokyo Games, was the last one for the crossover.
Also just empirically true at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lee Cocker, who was a producer at a company called ISM Limited, whose website says they created the Mario and Sonic series, posted a message on social media saying, quote, "For the people that are asking, there will be no Mario and Sonic game for Paris 2024. The franchise finished with Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020. He also said, "I know because I worked on all the games in the franchise." It's pretty definitive.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like that feels definitive for now, right?
Right.
And I don't know if I wonder how, Mark, we're going to do it again. How do those games sell? How do you think they sell?
Yeah, I would guess that they petered out. That like cuz
yes.
the first one in 2007 when it released on Wii was a big deal, having Mario and Sonic in a game together. And there was a fun I never owned any of these, but there was a fun novelty factor to, watching Waluigi do rhythms gymnastics, or, having
Right.
Bowser compete in skateboarding and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would guess that each game was kind of like diminishing returns.
Okay, so I've got to sort through all the other Mario. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it looks like the original Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Oh no, sorry, that is the first entry in the series. This is all sorted in a way that's hard for me to call it at a glance. Okay, here we go. I got it. No, I don't got it. It looks like there was a period where they were selling about 12, like the first one sold 12 million copies, and then the second one, which was a Winter Olympics game, sold about 7 million. And then the London Olympics, like less than 4. And then, yeah, this is sort of the peter off effect here. But then we start landing on like Wii U, right? So the
Sochi, that's true.
Sochi Olympics, 1.2 million. Rio 1.17, so about just a little over 1 million. And then here's like I guess the real nail in the coffin: Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Games, 1.3 million. So even though it was going from Wii U to Switch, there was not really a noticeable improvement in the performance of the game. And maybe that has something to do with the fact that the 2020 Olympics happened like a year and a half after the game came out, because it didn't come out in or because
the game came out in like 2019, right?
Game came out in 2019. The Olympics themselves happened in 2021.
Yeah.
And the game is called Tokyo Olympics 2020. So, I mean, maybe just a cursed, bizarre relic of a very specific time. But yeah, for that, it's not the lowest selling in the series, but pretty close to it.
Yeah, and like a million sold is nothing to sneeze at. But I wonder if, like, especially when you're going from 12 and just have it kind of like progressively peter out, if it just wasn't worth the effort anymore.
And then does Nintendo publish these games, or does Sega publish them?
I want to say that Sega
I think Sega publishes them. So I wonder if because they must be, we're back to licensing. They must be licensing the Nintendo characters from Nintendo to make this game, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I wonder how that agreement works. Or is anybody paying anybody and they just split revenue or something like that?
I mean, I guess that is possible. But I guess you also have to like deal with the IOC as well, right?
Yeah, probably. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So it was published by Nintendo. The first game, anyways, was published by Nintendo in Japan and by Sega in other regions. So maybe that's how. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a mess.
Yeah, maybe it just wasn't worth it, at some point.
Totally. Yeah, that there are just too many. Yeah, because like if it sells 1.3 million copies, that's like a Nintendo published game selling, 700,000 copies, and a Sega game selling 700,000 copies. Probably not worth it for either one of them.
Yeah, right? Probably not. And then you're right. There's probably like licensing with the IOC, and maybe that ran out after, it was like done through 2020.
Yeah.
And then that was just the end of it.
But whatever the case, it seems like it's not coming back.
Yes. At least, maybe. Yeah, it feels like I was going to make a joke, but about, and then, 20 years from now, they'll do a remake of the first game, and that'll tee up a new entry in the series.
But that's what we're talking about on Thursday.
And it's not even a particularly good joke, because it's like, why would they do a remake of, the 2008 Beijing Summer Games Mario plus Sonic?
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does seem like this is the kind of game that can be like relegated to the dustbin of history, right? I guess I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they come back with like Mario and Sonic like track and field events, like as like a separate collection of mini games.
Oh, sure.
But like, and just like do it without the IOC. And then you can even probably get crazier with some of the sports. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just no juice in the concept.
Also, maybe both companies in 2007 were like, yeah, what does Sonic have going for it? They already had a good relationship, when these games were being developed, it's not like Nintendo had a hit on its hands. Probably, like these agreements were probably signed in the GameCube era. So neither were at the peak. And so maybe it was easy to say like, yeah, let's like combine them. And this license runs for 15 years or whatever. Yeah. And then it ended and there was no reason for the companies to come back.
I'm going to pose another like big money question that you and I don't have the answers to or the brains to grapple. But like the Olympics, while obviously still like a big worldwide sporting event, they feel less culturally relevant and less like driving of like, or have like less of an economic impact than they did like 20 years ago. And I don't know if that's just because I'm an adult and I am, more like skeptical and like have distance from things, but it just feels like with the death of the monoculture that it is like, there's just less money in it. And so I wonder if even the, that brand was bigger at the time. And it just, is less of a sales draw now than just like a Sonic game by itself.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What's bigger, the Olympics or Sonic the Hedgehog? Right in, listener.
Finally, new Pokemon Snap is now officially available in China. It's the first Pokemon game to be released in the country since the year 2000, when the country temporarily banned game consoles.
Wow.
That ban was lifted in 2015. So, Nintendo has its own kind of like subsidiary called IQ that is in China, and they had released like a version of the Nintendo 64 and the Nintendo DS through the IQ brand.
Yeah.
But more officially with the Nintendo Switch, they teamed up with a Chinese company called Tencent to officially release the Nintendo Switch in China. And it doesn't have the full library game, but it is also getting Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee coming soon. Super Mario 3D World and Breath of the Wild. They're teasing as being available in China in the works.
Kind of crazy to consider releasing the Switch to a market and not including Breath of the Wild.
Right. I know.
Right?
Totally. Yeah.
Do we know like why these things like why so are specific games being like blocked by the Chinese government?
I think you have to get games approved by the Chinese government.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they I genuinely, it's the theme of the episode. I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know if there's like a certain amount that they approve at a time or like what the process is like. I have absolutely no clue.
And do we have a sense of, and it's okay if we don't, because again, that's the theme of the episode, but do we have a sense of like why a game would or would not get approved? Is it about like games being like too addictive for kids, or like,
I have no idea.
We have any kind of idea what the like guiding rationale is on that?
I don't know. I wonder if they didn't go with Breath of the Wild because Zelda was not as recognized as like Mario or as like Pikachu, right? I would prioritize those if I were introducing.
But this is the first Pokemon game.
So, yes, but that's why it probably came before, possibly before Breath of the Wild.
Right. I'm just like, what games have they put out there?
I think Kirby Star Allies is out. I think Mario, one of the Mario games is
like
already
Odyssey,
out.
Maybe
Odyssey, or maybe
like
New Super Mario Brothers
U
Deluxe is out. But so there's a handful that are and then there's like some third-party titles out there as well. But yeah, definitely a more limited library.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society.
That we know to be true for sure.
That's right, although I was just interrupted, which now makes the episode a little bit longer. So who knows what we know and what we don't know? Mark, I don't know if you heard, but at the beginning of the episode, I was laughing at something we were doing, and I snorted, I think, on mic.
Just that kind of episode.
It is that kind of episode. If you are not in our Discord, you should email us, and we will send you an invitation, and then you can chat with us all the time. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers, saying thank you for listening.